People said he was nobody, just a poor boy with torn shoes, an oversized shirt, and a voice too soft for the world to care. But on the night he stepped onto that stage, every single person in the audience, including Simon, realized he wasn't just another contestant. He was a storm no one saw coming, and the moment his voice touched the mic, the world went silent. Ethan Miller had lived most of his 16 years in a forgotten corner of the city, a small, worn-down trailer on the edge of town. His mother, Claire, worked double shifts at a diner, and Ethan often helped by singing on the streets, hoping people would drop coins into the old paper cup he carried. His life was hard, but he never complained. Music was the only thing he ever had, his escape, his sanctuary, his whole identity. Every night after his mother left for work, Ethan sat outside their trailer under the dim porch light, singing softly to himself. His voice floated through the air like something fragile yet powerful, something the world had not yet heard. But Ethan never imagined it would take him anywhere meaningful. He believed dreams were for the rich, for the lucky, for people who had backing, not for boys like him. One evening, while he was singing on a street corner, a talent scout named Marissa Parker stopped in her tracks. Ethan's voice made her chest tighten. It was raw, honest, filled with pain and hope all at once, something she hadn't heard in years. "Where did you learn to sing like that?" she asked, breathless. Ethan shrugged. "Life taught me." Marissa stared at him for a long moment. "I want you to audition for Star Voices, tomorrow. I'll get you in." Ethan froze. The biggest singing show in the country? He didn't even own a proper pair of clothes, let alone confidence. But Marissa placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You don't need perfect clothes," she murmured. "Your voice is enough." For the first time in years, Ethan felt a spark of belief. The next day, he stood backstage, shaking uncontrollably. Contestants around him had stylists, makeup teams, expensive outfits. Ethan had none of that. Just a second-hand shirt, patched-up jeans, and a trembling heart. Simon Reed, the toughest judge in the industry, feared for his brutally honest opinions, sat at the center of the judges' panel. His glare alone made contestants lose confidence. "Contestant 304, the stage manager called. "Ethan Miller." Ethan swallowed hard and stepped into the blinding lights. The audience murmured. Some laughed at his worn-out clothes, others glanced at him with pity. Ethan felt every stare like a weight pressed against his chest. Simon raised an eyebrow. "Tell us about yourself." I'm Ethan," he stammered. I sing on the streets sometimes, to help my mom." A soft murmur ran through the crowd's sympathy mixed with skepticism. Simon leaned back. "All right, Ethan. Impress us. The stage is yours." The music began soft piano notes, delicate like a heartbeat. Ethan closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and began to sing. And in that instant, everything changed. His voice didn't just come from his throat, it came from the deepest part of his soul. His tone was rich, trembling with emotion, every word soaked with years of quiet suffering and silent dreams. The audience fell completely still. Some wiped away tears without realizing it. Simon, the man who rarely showed emotion, slowly leaned forward, eyes narrowing, not with annoyance, but shock. Ethan's voice climbed higher, fuller, more powerful. It cracked at just the right places, making the room feel his heartbreak. Every note was raw truth. Every breath was survival. And when he reached the climax, pouring out the last drop of his soul, a wave of silence swept through the auditorium. Then, thunderous applause. People rose to their feet, clapping, cheering, shouting his name. Ethan's eyes widened. No one had ever cheered for him before. Simon lifted a hand, and the room quieted instantly. His voice, normally sharp and cold, was unusually soft. "Ethan, he began. I've judged this show for 10 years. I've seen hundreds of voices, but yours," he paused, clearing his throat, "yours is one I felt, deeply, and I don't say that lightly." Ethan's breath caught in his chest. Simon continued. "It was emotional, powerful, and real. The kind of voice that makes this entire show worth watching. A voice even I could ignore." The audience gasped. Simon never said things like this. Tears gathered in Ethan's eyes. No one had ever believed in him like this. Not strangers, not crowds, not industry giants, and definitely not Simon Reed. "You're going to the live shows," Simon said firmly. Ethan covered his face with his hands as people cheered louder. Backstage, Marissa hugged him tightly. "I told you," she whispered. "Your voice is enough." As the weeks passed, Ethan became a national sensation, not because he had fancy clothes, not because he had a wealthy background, but because the world finally understood what Marissa had seen from the beginning: a poor boy with a voice too powerful to ignore. His performances broke records. Millions tuned in every week. Fans from around the globe sent letters telling him how his voice healed them, inspired them, strengthened them. Yet, even with the fame, Ethan stayed humble. Every night before a show, he called his mother at the diner and whispered, "I'm singing for us, Mom." When he reached the finals, people wondered, would he win? But for Ethan, winning wasn't the trophy. Winning was standing on that stage at all. Winning was being seen, being heard, being valued. On the final night, as he performed his last song, Simon stood up mid-performance, something he had never done in his entire career. The audience gasped. Judges rose beside him, a full standing ovation. When Ethan finished, Simon spoke once again. "Ethan Miller, you didn't come here with a background, money, or support. You came with something much more powerful, a story that lives in your voice. And today, that voice became unforgettable." Ethan didn't win the trophy that night, but he won something far greater, the world's heart. And as Ethan walked off the stage, hearing thousands chant his name, he realized something he had never believed before. Sometimes the world doesn't need perfection. Sometimes it needs truth. And his voice was the truth the world had been waiting for.